Yeah.
Mama Tomsky's back. She says, hi, guys. Lucas, what color are the green trees that you hatched out? And Jeremy, what kind of animals are your favorite and do you keep?
Yeah, so they were born all yellow.
Yep.
Oh, that's
The
so sick.
boy was yellow and the mom was yellow,
Yeah.
according to my mentor Socrates. So yeah, yellow to
That's
yellow
awesome.
equals all yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah,
right.
The reds are reds are
Red neonates.
Yeah,
Like yellows
reds
and
can
blues,
produce
right?
reds can produce yellows, but yellows to yellow can't produce reds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I certainly do keep. I've been keeping since I was 8 years old, and I've got a lot of snakes on top of what I deal with at Nerd.
Yeah.
But I
How is that, man? Like working all day at a place and then having to go home and work with snakes. That's got to be a little bit challenging.
I don't mind it, man, because for me working at Nerd, I do some animal stuff, but a lot of it is like managing. Like I'll
Project
I've got
managing,
like weekly meetings with our web designer, and then I'm doing this and doing that, and like working on planning Kevin's next private tour and all these other things. So like I do animal stuff here and there, but a lot of it's running around doing other stuff. So for me, going to work with my own animals, that's my solace.
That's therapeutic.
Yeah. So like I'll work at Nerd from 10 to 8 or whatever, and then I'm in my snake room from 8 to midnight.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is my time to decompress,
Well, I always tell people that same thing about it. Sometimes I want to just work with snakes, because really 100%. I don't work with snakes nearly as much as I'd like to. You know, I mean, I'm so busy.
Right. Well, that's what like I was telling you earlier. Like I have recently fallen in love with Mex.
Right.
You know, and it's like it's a species I've always been like, oh, those are kind of cool. And then it wasn't until like last year I was like, oh, we had one at the pet store, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me get this. Let me kind of explore the species a little bit. And man, I was like, these things are so cool, man. Yeah. They look so cool. They're really inquisitive, whatever. And the next thing I know, I got 9 of them.
All right, Jay, I'm going to put you to the test.
Yeah,
You've heard about Max.
Yes.
What's the common name? Come on now.
Wait, a granite Mex?
Yeah.
The common name?
The common name, yeah.
Or just a regular Mex? I just Mexicana. That's all I've ever heard.
So it's San Luis Potosi.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with like Goinai, Apalachicola.
No, that's my favorite.
These guys make fun of me.
I don't make fun of you. It's a funny fucking word. We always go at like Capricola, Formicola, Pensacola County King Snakes.
Capricola King Snakes.
I just love it. It makes me giggle every time I hear it, man.
Apalachicola County King Snakes.
Well, because the other day we had a clutch and you said like, holy moly. I thought you were going to go like, holy Pensacola or whatever the fuck. Like, I was going to be like, damn.
That's a missed opportunity
We'll get it this year. Don't worry.
Yeah, next clutch, man. Holy Pensacola County King.
Dude, Cap or Appalachia. So good.
Loving it, man. Loving it.
Sixpence said, what about rough green snakes as pets?
So, I think the problem with rough green snakes is, number one, no one's breeding them. So you're getting wild-caught animals. They eat crickets. They literally.
Yeah, they're insectivores.
That's really cool. I love them already. These are awesome.
Do weirdly enough, a little trivia for you guys. First snake I ever hatched was a rough green snake.
Oh, really?
Ever.
What?
It was from a wild female that laid eggs.
Yeah.
And I hatched it about 2 weeks before my first corn snake clutch that I actually bred.
Oh, cool.
So and ironically enough, between the and I worked at a pet shop, right? So there was this, get this clutch of like 4 or 5 green snake eggs, rough green snake eggs. I take them home, and then I hatched those, and then I hatched little Carolinensis anoles, green anoles, and then I hatched my corn snakes I actually bred. So I actually hatched 2, wild caught, captive hatch things before I actually hatched my first actual snakes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so rough green snakes mean a lot to me, but they were so small, we couldn't get them to eat. I mean,
they're so tricky, man.
Yeah, so that's the problem. I mean, they're not terrible pets.
No.
But they're just, no one's breeding them. I mean, if you do breed them, you're never going to get them to eat. You think green trees are hard,
try here's a
I
real
wonder,
green
I wonder
snake.
if you can just punch a baby rough green snake. I don't know if there'd be a picture of them, but
how small they are.
They are.
Yeah,
I mean, they are. I hope there's a picture. That would be super cool if there was.
Is this kind of the idea?
Yeah, kind of.
It gives you a little idea, yeah.
Little bit. But I think that one's even got a little bit of size on it, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of them are bigger than that, but
yeah.
I understand what you're saying. They're already small
tiny.
as shit.
Tiny,
I mean, that looks
an
so
adult
small.
is like 24 inches.
Yeah,
so like a big adult.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So there's other green snakes you can get that are better snakes probably to keep than rough green snakes, but in the fact that they're whatever. So Matt Barczyk, you guys
What's
know
up, Matt?
Oh
yeah.
You know guys. Yeah, he used to work up there at Nerd.
Yeah, Sassaback Reptiles. He says, hey guys, just listening on the drive home.
Yeah, Matt's.
That's my
I
job,
was talking-
Jeremy.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
talking to Matt.
You're good.
I'm joining in, dude.
The harmony was great.
Yeah.
I was talking to Matt earlier this morning. Actually, we were just chatting about some
Oh,
things.
really?
He's trying to get me some monitors,
really
those
cool.
green monitors. That's the
Oh,
ones
yeah,
I was
yeah.
talking about. I hope
Yep.
he comes through for me on it.
Matt never calls me in the morning. What the heck,
Well,
Matt?
yeah, I know.
Just
man.
'cause he's too busy talking to Brian.
He's too busy talking to the real.
The real star.
Yeah,
Look, his shirt's yellow.
Yeah,
He's a star.
Yeah, I'm a shining bright like a diamond.
Oh, that's another good one. I gotta write that down.
Oh shit, you got an idea for their old
You
reptile
know
army?
me, dude. As soon as you
Yeah.
said it, bro.
Heck yeah.
Lieutenant Tomsky's in the house.
Yes.
Simple Man says, "Have you ever
got
thought
it.
about getting a Chinese crocodile lizard?"
Yeah, so it's a very similar thing to a lot of people ask me about, like, crocodile, just all kinds of different. It's basically they hide. So as a zoo, the one thing we try to do here at the Reptarium is have animals that you can see. Whereas a lot of zoos don't. A lot of zoos you go to and they have amazing setups and you can barely. It's
Ever
almost
see the
like
animal,
it's like you almost have to go in and go like, okay, where's Waldo? Like
Yeah,
where
yeah.
can what's in this cage? Let's
find
see
a
if we can find.
zookeeper and
Which
like,
is
hey,
fun.
can you poke that out of the corner for me so I can see it?
As a matter of fact, the Detroit Zoo, which is I like the Detroit
Yeah,
Zoo.
we went there, yeah.
But even, they have like a 15-foot retic that you can't see.
It's crazy.
Man.
Because it's so overplanted and it just hides
yeah.
in the corner. You literally can see maybe a couple scales. You're like, oh, it's over there. This is a giant snake. So there's this fine line between like getting, number one, the species of animals that aren't going to hide. We were talking about blue tree monitors earlier, and how I'd love to get some Macuri, but they hide all the time. Out of all of the green or the tree monitors, they're the worst for display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though they're the most beautiful, but same thing with the croc skinks, and they just hide all the time. You're just going to have a cage, and they're going to be burrowed, and you're never going to see them.
Yep.
It's kind of like sunbeam snakes too.
Yeah.
A Xenopeltis. We have a Xenopeltis, and we wanted it to put, but you can't. It's like
you're
just
never going to see
like
it.
even our egg-eating snake. It's like I'm about to pull it off because
you never see
it.
It's just buried. You know what I mean? It's a cool ass snake, but if I could put something in there that people can actually see, would be way better.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Becky came back and she says, if somebody was to, gift you a pied retic, then you'd have to take it. It'd be rude not to accept the gift. Problem solved.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've Becky, you think I was born yesterday?
Yeah.
You think I haven't tried this?
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know you've gotten better. You asked me before, right? When I first got here, we got Al Macino without asking. You don't have a pied retic. That shows you.
Yeah.
You know? You
No,
got
yeah,
better.
no. Trust me. I've tried the whole gifting thing. Like, oh yeah, no, they give it to me for free. It doesn't matter. It's not about the money. It's not all about the money.
Right.
It's about
the retic.
It's about. Of course, she calls it the reticarium.
Yeah.
Oh, look at our boys in the
Our
house.
boys,
Yeah.
R&B reptiles.
Reptiles.
They say, just checking in, gents.
What's up?
What's
Yeah,
up,
I've been
brothers?
talking with Ryan. I don't know if that's Ben or Ryan. I love them both, by the way. They were here last weekend on the potty. And not the potty, but the podcast.
And
they
the potty.
probably went
Maybe
on
probably on the potty.
They probably had to go to the potty.
Those
a couple
pickleballs,
times.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
dude?
that's
They'll get you.
Oh, dude, that looked gross.
It
as
was
hell.
gross as hell.
It looked so freaking gross, dude. Kudos to Mike for
I won't do
dealing
that
with
shit.
that.
I would never
The
do
one
that.
thing I've
Crap.
learned about Ben is that he will always bring something that makes you sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
pass.
part of it. So you just stay away
Pass.
from that stuff. I've learned my lesson, but I've been talking to Ryan a lot about he's helping me with a lot of crypto stuff. So he's a
there you go.
crypto maniac.
Cryptoholic.
Yeah.
He's a crypt keeper.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Galaxy Reptile says, Jeremy, I know you're into carpets, but do
Yeah.
you own any rough-scaled pythons?
yeah.
Brian, ever thought about acquiring?
I love Carinata.
Yeah, absolutely. It's honestly, so I've got probably like 175 snakes, like 16 or 17 different species, and I'm at the point now where like I have like my 4 species that like are my focuses, and then everything else are just kind of like, oh, I like these, I'll get a pair.
Cool collection,
rough scales are high up on
Yeah.
that list, for me to get a pair or something so within the next year or two.
I think they've come down pretty good, huh? They're not that much.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
they usually like around 1,500.
Yeah,
is
1,500 is
where
not
they-
bad,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not that bad.
They're
So.
a pretty cool snake. I
Yeah.
got my first experience with roughies were when I was in Australia.
Australia, and you were getting annihilated.
I was getting
by it.
annihilated. Yeah, Johnny Weigel, who owns the Australian Reptile Park,
Yeah.
he's a character, man. Johnny's awesome, And he just thought it was funny to see an American come over and just get railed.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, he goes, you ever check out a Carinata? And I'm like, oh my God, they're one of my favorite snakes
They're
on the
so
planet.
cool, yeah.
And he's like, because he was the one that found it. They thought they were extinct, and he actually found them.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was like for like 40 years they thought they were extinct, and he found the very first ones and then bred them. And so I was like, so he pulls out this big like 5.5 foot male, and it just fucking destroys me. I mean, just like, and they have the biggest teeth, like bigger than green tree python teeth.
Really?
Because they eat big fuzzy rats, so their teeth have to be big enough to get through that fuzz.
Yes.
Hook into that skin.
And so but I was I was just like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
And I was just bleeding all over the
blood,
place.
just
blood everywhere.
Yeah.
But the thing I always tell people is like, it was funny because we pulled that snake out at the show in Homebush, New South Wales. It was about 2 hours away from Sydney. And I didn't know anyone in Australia at the time. Nobody. I didn't know not one person. It was the first time I'd been to Australia. And what happened was Anthony Stimson, who is the guy that was putting on the show, flew me and Lori there to be like the special guest of the show. And so we fly there, don't know anybody. We spent a couple days in Sydney just walking around, and then finally they had a car pick us up and drive us to Homebush. And so I didn't know anyone. And then I met Johnny and a few other guys that were vending, and he pulls that out. And next thing you know, there's like 100 people standing around watching me just get destroyed by this ruffian. And so that's how I made almost all my friends. Because afterwards,
Just
everyone's
getting
like,
crushed.
You got the badge of courage, right?
Yeah. That's bloody cunt over here.
Yeah, it is bloody bitch.
It's like, so it's like I became friends with all these guys because I was the crazy American that just got destroyed by a Carinata. So no, definitely high on my list of things to get to.
Yeah, for sure.
V-Dog asked, for nerds, how is the, and I think she meant leucistic cobra doing? Such a cool snake.
Lilith.
Last time I saw it, you guys were doing some emergency care on it.
Yeah, so Lilith is doing great. She still has a little bit of swelling around that eye.
Yeah.
But Kevin has been tossing around the idea that it might be a parasite on the eye, under the eye, because everything else is fine. Like she's totally back to normal.
So she's eating and everything.
Yeah, she's eating great and everything, and that's the only thing that's still been an issue. So he's wondering if that might be the thing.
It's so scary, when you bring in an animal that's a one-of-a-kind animal. It's so rare. It's obviously wild caught.
Yep.
You're gonna deal with potential issues, especially in captivity. And yet something happens to that animal and you're just screwed. You can't. It's a different thing when you never want anything to happen to your animals, but it's different when you can buy another one.
For sure.
Go like, oh man, it's just heartbreaking that you lost something, but at the same time you could replace it. This you can't.
Yeah, you can't replace.
So I can imagine Kevin had some sleepless nights.
Yeah, it's definitely very frustrating, and it also doesn't make it any easier that she's not easy to deal with.
Right.
So to take her out, she wants to kill you. So any interaction is ridiculously stressful on her because she's thinking that you're going to try to kill her, so she's focused on killing you, and then you get her pinned down, and she's freaking and pissing and shitting everywhere, and you're just like, okay, I just want to get this done, so I can get her back in the enclosure, get her back to doing what she's doing. And
I know we talked about it earlier about some people being like, I can't believe you're doing this without a vet. But what vet is going to want to do that?
For the people who most of the people were saying is like, don't know Kevin, right, at all, he's a lot of the vets in the area reach out to him when they can't figure stuff out, so it's like, where the hell are we supposed to go if we were to try to find a vet? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not.
Well, it's the same
real,
thing even with the vet that we use. She asked me about all kinds of stuff, because she knows I've probably seen 100 times more tragedy.
No schooling's going to give you the experience.
We've seen everything. 100%. We've seen everything. We've seen from egg binding to parasites,
mutant snakes, all kinds
respiratory infections to subocular infections. We've seen it all, and we know kind of what to do to get rid. Because it's our animal, we're going to do everything we can do to fix it. So, whereas they just have read in books how many really, I guarantee you my vet has never even looked at a cobra in person, let alone, here, I got a cobra. Can you help me out on this?
It's kind of mean.
Exactly. Exactly. I remember a few years back, I got brought in to be a guest speaker at a local community college. They had an intro vet course, and they want to do a thing on reptiles and exotics and whatever, and the guy was like, can you bring in a couple snakes and talk about some simple diseases, and and I was like, well, what's a simple disease, how far do you want to go into simple disease? And he was like, well, talk about snake bites and respiratory infections, and I was like, that's not
Yeah,
even
that's-
scratching the
yeah,
surface
it's
of
like
what
that's-
you know. And I was like,
that's what
that's
you're
your
teaching?
intro to reptile veterinary work. Like, oh, okay,
Well,
all right.
I know a couple good reptile vets, and they've told me like everything that they've learned has been on their own. You know what I mean? Like after schooling, they went to seminars. They obviously keep their own collections. They now work with other people that have big collections. So they've kind of learned on their. So they take their the medical side of things, and they take that and then they apply it to the knowledge they're gaining on their own.
Right.
But we had someone in for a tour last weekend that she was a vet tech for like 15 years, and now is in her last stages of becoming a vet. After 15 years. And that's what she said. She said, you literally are like basically a doctor that's getting paid 40 grand a year. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, you're so right.
You're going through the same, schooling that a doctor is going through basically, but you're getting paid hardly nothing, but you still have the same debt to pay off and all the other stuff,
Exactly.
So it's really a labor of love. And for me personally, I know there's always, when you're like younger and you're like, I want to work with reptiles or I want to work with animals, there's always like, what are the options? You can be a zookeeper, you can be a vet, you can be, there's not a whole lot of options. And so I remember thinking like, maybe I'll become a vet when I was younger. And then I started realizing, really all you're doing is, seeing sick animals.
And dying animals.
Yeah, like don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to go to work and have to put someone's loved one down every day.
No, and
Yeah,
Maria,
exactly,
she did vet tech work for a bit when we lived in Florida, and that same thing. She was like, it came home defeated every day because you'd see, and it's not just other people's animals that they love, but it's like you get to know these animals too, and you love them, and and then you have to put it down or something. And it's just rough, man.
It's the same thing with like wildlife rehabbers or rescues, rescues or whatever. And it's like, man, like a lot of times they talk about stuff from only witnessing the worst side of stuff because that's what they see every day. And it's like,
we had someone a couple weeks.
we
had some couple weeks back talking about wanting to start a reptile rescue, on the podcast, and that's what I told him. I said, God bless you, but you realize the vast majority of your animals you're going to get, it's going to be like
it's going to be
terrible,
the worst of the worst.
Yeah, you're not getting good. Like, hey, I got this perfect green tree python I'd like you to take.
Exactly.
Maybe it's like that meme, right? What people think it is.
What the reality is. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like you get yourself a decrepit, green tree python that can't even keep its head up.
Exactly.
It's like people are giving you the good stuff.
What do I do with that? Yeah.
RB Reptiles came back and says, don't forget to sign up for the giveaway. The 1K goes out next Thursday.
Yeah, so these guys are doing definitely, if you guys haven't noticed or didn't see the vlog, for people that are subscribed to R&B's Reptile channel, they're giving a random $1,000 away to one of the subscribers. So again, R&B Reptiles on YouTube. So go check that out and show them some love, and they're good guys, man.
Daniel says, have you ever worked with Spilotes pilatus?
Yeah, Spilotes pilatus.
Tiger rat snake. Do you cohab them? If so, how large is the enclosure, and what is your breeding process?
Have you guys worked with Spilotes?
So
seems like you would.
We've had them in the shop before, usually for sale.
Okay.
Rob though has kept them for years.
Okay.
And I don't know if he's ever bred them. I think he tried to breed them or something. But one of our other guys, Jake, just successfully bred some
awesome.
tiger rats, and I don't know what
does he have eggs or does he have?
He's got eggs right now.
Tell him I want a pair.
Okay,
I want a pair so bad.
I'll let him know. Yeah,
I mean, I love Spilotes, man. They call them chicken snakes too.
Oh, cool,
so
cool.
Chicken snakes, and they're great snakes. Again, another
cool.
giant colubrid snake, really whippy typically.
Love that.
Really, but black and yellow.
Yeah.
So
Super
you
cool.
can punch up tiger snakes real quick.
One of the other cool ones is which you've got upstairs, the puffing snake.
Puffings
just
are
another
so
great
cool,
display. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So
I have seen these before.
Beautiful snakes, man.
Super
Can't
cool.
remember where, but
Really beautiful.
Probably at Nerd.
it might be a nerd actually.
Brian
right.
Sharp used to breed, and these guys come in. I mean, they're cheap, right? $100
Yeah,
or something like
they're
that.
typically not very
I mean,
expensive.
captives, I'm sure, are more, but but I think if you go down to the related images, Jay, like go to
Down
the
here?
right. No,
Yeah.
yep, that first picture right there.
This one?
That reminds me of what Brian Sharp used to breed. And they were, like I said, they used to be like $100, $150. And he used to get $1,500 for the high yellows.
I can see that.
And he sold like immediate, but I don't know anyone that ever bought him that produced them. So they're just gone now, you know. And
That's
I mean,
crazy.
just a beautiful.
I didn't know
beautiful
Brian
stuff.
Sharp was with bird
Yeah,
dogs.
he
that's
did for
crazy.
years. He was breeding
beautiful.
boas, ball pythons, and spilotes. That was like it. That was his only colubrid was spilotes.
That's crazy.
And,
yeah,
but I don't think I think Brian is completely gone out of the rep. I don't think he keeps reptiles anymore.
Yeah,
which is a bummer. That's another guy I'd love to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's a
Oh,
very
absolutely,
interesting guy
yeah.
because he's was around. He was so he's an FBI agent.
yeah.
Retired FBI agent. But he was also one had the first piebald ball python ever. In captivity. Unfortunately, it was a messed up story. He had bought the first piebald back in like the 70s.
Yeah.
Never bred it, died. And then when another one came available like in the late 80s, early 90s, whatever, maybe it was mid 90s actually. He bought that one, tried to breed it for it was a male, tried to breed it for like 2 or 3 years, couldn't breed it. And he lived right down the street from Pete Call, not far from Pete. Pete buys it from him for like 20 grand, produces like 5 clutches the same year. Like the same year, the same male. So Brian never produced pieds, and Pete just crushed the pied. And then of course there was the Sharp strain albino ball pythons that everyone. That's Brian Sharp. So I'd love to get him on because not only does he have he was OG. Really OG. But he also told me a story that he was there the day that Crutchfield got raided. He was actually at Crutchfield's place as an FBI agent, and so they pulled him out. He had a bunch of animals I guess he had brought to Tom to either sell or to buy. I'm not sure what it was, but he said he had a box of reptiles. And
Damn, son.
Can we rail this in?